Hello, everybody. This is Puppetine, and I am here at my house, and I am joined today with me is the real Dr. Venkman. Say hello, Venkman.
Hello, Venkman.
Well, that's exactly that's exactly what we expect from you. Well, today we are here to talk about the new episode of The Flash, Season 7, Episode 2.
Yep.
I can't remember the title of this episode.
Well, I remember what it's about. And
me too.
Yeah. If you could think faster, you'd know.
Well, you know, I have a head full of fluff. You can't expect me to move too quickly.
Yeah, true.
So how about you go ahead and talk a little bit about what we watched tonight?
All right, I guess I'll go ahead. And it starts off with Barry starts. Barry and Cisco are talking. They're trying to figure out how to get this using Atlantean tech to create a wormhole, getting into the Mirrorverse. The problem is just distracting Eva, because she can see through every reflections, and because he brings up, Barry says, "Well, last time I talked to her, she said she's watching us, we got a message saying that." And this is where we get the first introduction in the CW verse to the power speed thinking, which Barry I believe it was in the New 52 version he displayed this power. I'm not sure if it's before that or what, but yeah. Anyway, getting into this, so one of the side effects we find out from Barry using the new artificial Speed Force is that he's losing his emotions throughout the episode. He's becoming more and more like Brainiac, where or I'd say like Spock, and where he just uses logic, and he even acknowledges that he can see every single scenario. Like one of them, he said it ran through like 2,000, 4,000, different scenarios, and then it all comes out to this one thing. And we even get a preview of it too when he's making a decision as for who, because he finally figures out how to get into basically the Mirrorverse, and it's revealed that he can only save Iris, who's been in the longest, or he can save
Singing Camilla.
Camilla. And what's crazy about this, we basically get like a little scenario where he talks to Cisco and they put it to vote, and this is Barry Allen, and this is actually pretty good acting from Grant Gustin, yes, being an emotional boy, And anyway, he runs through there, and they all vote against him. So he decides to do it himself, and it has a battle and stuff. And then after all this, the whole thing, I believe that was even part of it too, wasn't the? No, that was different. Okay, so he comes to the conclusion. He tells Gideon, "Yeah, I ran through it. Let's not tell them. You're just And
from them.
Yeah. So what's great about this is that we finally get the first introduction. Well, not the first introduction, but of this season, though, and it's been a while, we get Velocity. What was it called? Velocity X, I think it was called?
Velocity X, indeed.
Yeah.
So the scenario is they realize that Barry is going too far. With this speed thinking, he cannot touch his emotions. He doesn't feel anything. He doesn't have his heart that the team, that makes Barry Allen, at least for the CW. So they say that we're going to stop you. And Flash, he's looking around and he's like, I don't think so. And he takes this ball that Cisco has created and starts flinging it around. And it distracts him for a moment. And it looks like he has the upper hand when Killer Frost, who has returned, uses Velocity X and becomes basically, I don't know, Killer Speed or do you think that Flash Frost would be better? Flash Freeze. That sounds like a good name to me.
It was actually kind of weird because having her be a speedster, and you pointed this out while we're watching this. The absurdity that she knows how to use the Speed Force and run around and run up buildings and all stuff, the first try when it took like Wally and Jesse Quick,
Barry.
Yeah, even Barry. took him.
It's time.
Yeah, Barry actually fell. I remember the first. I think it was the first. Like, third episode. I can't remember what episode it was. He ran up, but then he got he didn't know how to come down. So yeah.
And she's just running across buildings and like,
Yeah.
okay, here we go, and I'll make
Yeah.
A wall of ice too. It was kind of silly. It was kind of cool, but kind of silly.
Right.
Just knowing the characters and their situations. But basically, Barry outsmarts them. He outsmarts them, and they're all on the floor, passed out.
And well, explain how he uses it. How he uses Cisco's own technology. It's like a little blue glowing sphere that he's able to throw around, and its movements are erratic, so you can't predict it. Because it was a test that Cisco came up because Barry could pretty much figure out any outcome. So he had Barry turn around, so Barry couldn't use his powers, and Barry just holds his hand up. Cisco throws the ball, and while he's doing it, Barry's calling out lamp, shade, love, when he's coming, and then he catches it. So this comes back to play. He throws that ball and does this whole battle with them. Cisco's got his little gun, whatever. It's supposed to slow him down. Caitlin's supposed to be using her power or freeze powers, and then you have ultraviolet. She's using her and
Allegra,
yeah. I was forgetting Allegra D. Yes. So
medicine girl.
So what happens is that while this is going on, Caitlin, she uses the freeze. She uses the velocity X. She runs up and stuff. She throws an energy blast at him. And
with ice.
She does the lightning bolt thing with ice, and it hits him, and then Allegra uses her power, or the little vibe pellets. Basically, that's how they get around it. It's go poof a cloud. It's like Nightcrawler. They throw on the ground, poof, and all of a sudden they're falling into the Star Labs again. I was like, come on, really? This is getting ridiculous.
Poof, there it is. Poof,
but
there it is.
I wanna. What's so great about this? So even they did all this up. Barry's like, it's like, yeah. So you got me back here. You blast me with this. He's like, but this fight was over before it even began. The ball comes back out, hits him in the head.
Knocks them all out.
Knocks them all out. It was so great. Even
Allegra looks like she burns off half.
Oh my god! She's using her radiation or what do you call ultraviolet powers, and it hits her in the face, and she's like, "Oh god!" No! I was like, she should be Two-Face right now if she, unless she's got some kind of protection from her own powers. But man, it was just great. Right off the bat, this is kind of weird because I knew right away. I was like, wait, they're gonna make the speed thinking, the villain, pretty much, of this episode. Which is kind of sad because if I recall, and Zach, I think you've read it too, part of the New 52 Flash or LK. Maybe even Ron, if you're listening. That power wasn't a bad thing in the New 52 run, or was it Rebirth? I can't remember if it was Rebirth. I think it was New 52 though. I'm so confused because I know it's in the comics, and one of those two. If somebody can correct me, if everybody knows, let me know. Anyway, that power he stopped using because it became a crutch. He kept relying on it too much, and it just so having it be here. We're watching this. I called it right away in the first minute. It's like, wait, he's got the speed thing, and it's like, well, they're gonna make that the villain because he saw Cisco reacted to it, and and Barry started losing his emotion stuff. He even goes to the point where Barry becomes such a villain where he actually, because he says, I'm choosing Iris. He's not even going to tell a team. He didn't refuse to tell a team. He was going to pull her out. But before they even get into that whole scenario, you had Eva McCullough, who basically was on a talk show and talking about how she's going to go back, going helping people, new energies and all that stuff. Barry hacked into her husband's basic company that she took over, and Cisco's like, "How do you do that?" And he's like, "Oh, whatever, it's a keystroke for her." And he, without consulting anybody, he basically exposes her. The video where she proves that she died. And what's really weird about this is that how the news reporter acts, and she's like, "Wait, you just really kill that woman on the screen?" I'm like, you only saw one Eva McCullough, so how could she kill her? And she accuses her, like, right, are you a shapeshift? How do you know about shapeshifting? they've never really they've shown a meta villain that could shapeshift and let it cut common knowledge. So that was kind of weird too.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it's weird. I guess they were trying to just make her, oh, you better feel cornered. You're a victim now, and that's the way they were going. I have to say that this episode, LK says he's basically a low rent Spock. I don't know. I enjoy Grant Gustin's performance. I feel like he's a solid actor.
I don't want to dig out Spock like that, because Spock actually still had somewhat emotion. You watched it in the series, well, maybe not in the older series, but in the newer movies, Spock showed someone he cared. So that's an emotion right there. So he wasn't completely devoid of emotions. He knew right from wrong. Even though it was illogical, he still went with it. He didn't, exclude. I'm going to do this. Screw you, Kirk. So yeah, like I said, he finally gets a new power. And I thought it was, what I thought was so cool. Before they showed this, I was hoping they're going to say it, because the Wells, all of them created together, created the Speed Force. The new artificial. I was hoping that he was channeling all their knowledge, and that's why he was so brilliant, smart. He's using all the Harry's combined intellect, because that would have been great.
With my Harry's combined,
he had a well of knowledge.
Well, it did not all end well in this situation, because he opens the portal to the Mirrorverse, and he basically tells Iris she's the logical choice because she's been there longer and has information about Eva.
Yes.
And that's why. It's not because he loves her. That's the key point right there. And Iris is like, I'm not going to leave everybody else just to come here. You're wrong. That's not you, Barry. And he's like, well, okay. And starts pulling her in to the real world forcibly. That entire scene, Iris is trying to fight back because she has some control over the Mirrorverse now that she's been there a while. But it's not enough. Barry pulls her into reality, and she starts fritzing out on the floor, and he almost snaps out of it. He's like, wait a minute, Iris, no. Because it looks like she's in danger. And then he just sees all the destruction he's caused because he's been thinking logically. He hasn't been thinking with his heart. Mm-hmm. And I know that's a bunch of CW garbage. At the same time, look where it's led. In his anger at himself, really, he uses a lightning blast to shut off the artificial Speed Force.
Yeah. So I found out where this is from. It's actually a New 52 power they gave him back in 2013. It's in the first volume of The Flash. It's written by Francis Manapul. Brian Busalato, I guess, is the illustrator. So yeah, go check that out. If you want more about the speed thinking, check out Flash Volume 1 in the New 52. I think it's issue 17, right around there. Yeah, and it's totally different. And I just felt like, I felt like we finally they introduced this into the CW, and they kind of ruined it. They made it this. It could have been a power you could have used for good, but they use it as basically as the typical trope. Well, it's just going to corrupt him, make him the villain, because they didn't have a villain for this episode, because they're trying to advance the whole thing. It was, and I don't want to poo-poo the show, but it felt like a way just for them to just bring this chapter of Eva, and the Mirrorverse, thing to an end faster. It felt kind of rushed. I think it was Daniel Panabaker that tweeted, people who are watching this show, you should keep in mind that we had to shut down production. The start of this season is basically the end of last season, and that's why it's the way it is. And it's absolutely understandable. And thinking about it, I'm pretty sure there are only 3 episodes left. This definitely does feel like the pre-finale. They have Iris back. They have 2 more people to get. And
Eva snaps out of her state of, oh my gosh, I'm not the real Eva. I'm a mirror image. And she's like, wait a minute, this isn't my world, but it can be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going over the years and I'm watching and the show and reading reviews, a lot of people came and said about this whole power of speed thinking, because we've all known it since this show started, that why wasn't he using his power? He could have used it in season 4. He could have used it against Zoom. He could have used it on all his different villains. And that's why it just feels so cheap to me to have it in an episode and not use it as an advantage. He just use it, kind of just against Eva McCullough, and it was just kind of like, and it cost him there's a cost to it. If anything, it should have, if him using the power as him just relying on it too much, it's a crutch, and that would have been much better than just using it like, well, it devotes you of emotion. And yeah, that's my only complaint about this, as far as the speed, using this as a new Speed Force power, and saying it's not good, it's bad. They could have done it better, but overall, we finally get Iris back. At the end, he pulls her through. Yeah. After she fights, though, because she doesn't want to come out, because she says, like, well, we need to get detectives Singh and Camilla out first, because they were already coming to the effects of the Mirrorverse. They weren't as, I guess, immune as she is. I think it's because, and I'm thinking, like, wait, Iris has been in there longer. Why is she all of a sudden like immune to this? But these two people have been there, not even as long. Shouldn't they have gone through a certain way, or But then they bring up the point. Those two, Camilla and Singh, were shot by the light
mirror
gun. Yeah, the mirror gun. Yeah. Versus where she was pulled through the actual mirror. So are they? So, and the way they end it, I don't know if you want to talk about the ending, because we can always go back and go over more details.
I think I'm going to let you handle the ending. Once upon a time, there's a story to tell, and I think you were the most excited by it.
The ending is that Iris is pretty much, Barry ends up throwing like an energy blast at, like a another blast at the artificial Speed Force. So I don't know if he's out of power now, but he comes back. He's got his emotion back, because he didn't see it, because he starts panicking. Because Iris is pretty much convulsing. She can't breathe. She's slow bad. And he's like, and the bad thing is that no, there's no one else help him, because he knocked them all out. Apparently, they're still knocked out. Allegra, Cisco, and Caitlin are all knocked out on the floor, on the ground behind them. So, and Iris is pretty much not flatlining, but getting close to there. And it's hard to tell if because he just damaged the artificial Speed Force. And if he did that, now he has no speed. And that irritates me more now, because if he has no speed now, what was the whole point of the Wells sacrifice themselves? But there is one good thing that came out of this whole entire mess of an episode. And this made Puppetine literally start screaming in my ear, because he was so happy.
I'm sorry. I was excited.
I know. And I applaud you, because I don't really show my emotions a lot on camera, but I'll say this. It almost brought a tear of joy, because what's the rule about comics? Nobody stays dead forever. The original Harry Wells that was killed by Earbard Thawne is alive. They flash back to when the night when the original Wells was an accident, and Earbard Thawne stole his identity and then threw him in a ditch. Well, after he ran around, we get the red light and bullets go around and then basically burying him. These green little particles materialize out of the grave, and it forms, and the original Wells is back. And thoughts on this? I only assume it's because they solved the whole Earbard Thawne program, crisis and all stuff. So it's a clean slate. So that never happened. So does this mean Barry's mom comes back?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. But I'm happy that Wells is there. I was concerned that the actor was just going to leave the show and it was the end. But I really feel that a Wells is a an important part of the show. It's one of those charming little features, one of the characters that draw you in. And I'm just happy he's back in some capacity.
Yeah, like I said, without having Tom Cavanaugh on the show, it just feels like you lose part of what the show has been since the beginning. Whether he's a villain or whatever, he's Goofy or Sherlock or whatever, he adds comedic value or just scientific knowledge that, do I not want Barry to lean too much on Cisco and everything to help him bail him out? I like Barry when he does stuff, he gets knocked down, but he gets back up and he figures it out himself. Star Labs has become way too much of like the guardian of the Flash, where the Flash should be like, you know what? I'm not Kid Flash anymore. I don't need you holding the hand. I can do what I want to do. And that's one of the problems with the series is that Barry is pretty much told what to do and not allowed to do what he wants to do. And if, but overall, like I said, I'm glad to have Tom Cavanaugh. He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
Hey,
I agree.
Rania, I'm sorry, but the well's not dry. There's one more well. He keeps on coming back.
They need to stop bringing Wells back. He is, I don't know. I feel like if he wasn't there, there's a strength in his performance that would just be missing. And I feel like if he was truly gone, it'd be close to the end of the show.
The only thing I can think of reason why they brought him back is if they did a screen test before they launched, usually for people, you can see it. And maybe critics complain you're getting rid of like one of the best actors on the show because you already lost Elongated Man, who brought an actual his own specific unique viewpoint to the show. You had a guy who was a corrupt cop, got fired, went to jail, or I don't know if he went to jail, but he was basically fired. Came out, got power, still kind of crooked, added comedian value to it, and he's gone because of cancel culture. And I'm not gonna lie, yeah, it was he said some bad things, but everyone says bad things, so no one should be able to do anything. Sorry, we can't judge one person and then say everybody else gets a pass. So anyway, getting past that, anyway, so I prefer to have Wells on here, but I would, if I could have Wells, and if Tom Cavanaugh was on here, bring me back Earbud Vaughn. I want the original one, the blonde hair guy, the actor. I forget what his name is. I apologize for those who are big fans of him. Without Reverse Flash or even the Rogues, we don't even have the freaking Rogues on here anymore. They came out, they're gone. As soon as they created a show, let them out, and then the guy actor is only on there, kept Cole's on there for one season, and then Mick's been on there for since then. And Mick's got a redemption arc. He's no longer a villain. He's got a daughter and all that stuff. I want Flash with villains, not just one at a time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I understand.
You got to put more effort in that. The only way that works is if you work with Superman, because Superman, you need a strong power hitter and you need a strong, and Superman's strong. So you need, it works that way. If they want to do team stuff, then do team stuff. Have more heroes on that show, not just Flash. But I don't want to say. I want to. I don't want to rant. I don't want to sound like I'm whining. But
no. I absolutely understand.
Yeah.
And out of all the shows that we've watched, and we've been watching a lot now, and there's a lot of garbage on this channel. I don't think The Flash can be considered garbage. There are things that are tiresome for some, and I understand that. But there are elements of the show that some people are going to like, some people aren't. I'm definitely annoyed that Barry is constantly in a situation where he's not on top of things. Not really. He's not actually being the front man.
He said 7 series. Or not seasons, basically.
Seasons.
Yeah, to basically grow up. He had a sidekick for a while. What was the point of the sidekick? He said he takes advice from everybody else instead of actually doing what he needs to do. He doesn't need everyone else to tell him, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? Barry, you're a scientist. You're a forensics. Why can't you just go around solving murders and mysteries like that? don't have to be freaking Nancy Drew, but I mean, like, you don't need Star Labs to do everything for you. You don't need Cisco. I just like Robert says, well, you need a supporting cast. The 1991 Flash, John Wesley Shipp, he had Tina McGee, that from Star Labs. That was it. And then he had one other guy that worked with him at the TCPD, and that was it. That's what he had. But I prefer to have a more mature, more adult Flash, and we're seeing this now with they're not letting him be grown up. And what's worse about it is now the movies seems like Warner Brothers only wants a younger version of the Flash. The Ezra Miller Flash we got in Justice League felt like a new kid who just got his powers, like he's like exactly like a 14-year-old, and then waiting for him to make penis jokes. It was
it's worse than
weird.
that. It's like they with the MCU, they wanted young Peter Parker. Okay, they have a young Spider-Man, sure. They don't need that with the Flash on DC. It just felt like they were trying to tap into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just sad, really.
Like I've always said, give me an older Flash, and give me a Wally West. It's time for Wally West to shine. Bring back the Ginger. Let the Ginger run, and let him shine bright and kick some ass. Yeah, because I prefer Wally being coming in. I didn't mind Wallace too much on the show, but as like I said, I prefer to have, and I'm not gonna say it's because it's that people say like, well, if you want the Ginger Wally, that's because you don't like the other one. No, I prefer to have both. If we could have both at the same time, or just crossover event like that, where he sees the other one, and they meet, where, like I said, the other character, Randall Wallace, isn't even on the show. He's gone.
Yeah, he left.
So why can't they bring in Barry and realize, hey, this is actually, my nephew, and just from an alternate universe. He's like, hey, I know you. You're not my Barry. My Barry is like, different. And if they could always branch off and doing an actual like a Wally West show with the Ginger Wally West on the CW. But I don't, like I said, it just seems like Hollywood does not want Wally. We see it in the comics, and we're seeing it on the shows. They don't want Ginger Wally, even in the movies. I don't know what the reason is for that, and I'm not going to speculate too much on that because we're here to talk about the Flash show. And the Flash show, as I said, it's been up to this point. There's ups and downs. There's things I like, and the Flash has been one of my favorite characters. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, like I like Ghostbusters. You can see everything behind me. It's all Ghostbusters, X-Men stuff. Flash has been a fun, enjoyable show to watch. But there has its moments, just every show, and I just wish that, instead of trying to push a narrative sometimes, they don't get as preachy as some of the other shows. And that's entitled if they want to do that. That's why I choose not to watch those shows. That's not meant for me. But Joe West is, and Brian is bringing up Joe West. Joe West I like him. He's a good actor, a good character. And he's actually from the New 52. And that's what I feel. Go ahead.
His relationship with Barry is one of the best. And in this episode, it starts out basically with a memorial to the Welleses, and Joe takes Barry aside. He's like, I know what you're doing, but you can't do that. We're going to get Iris back. And he basically helps ground Barry sometimes.
Yes. And that's what he did in the New 52 run. I remember that I was New 52 running back. That's what I was reading, because the first volume, reading that, and Joe West had raised because that's basically what that's what their show is, based off the New 52 verse. Although Iris in the New 52 was still white, they didn't race swap her, and Joe wasn't
Well, they can't have gingers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've touched upon most of the show. I like I said, I enjoy it. There's definitely elements that I could do without, but it's not enough to make me say, oh, this show sucks. I hate everything about it. Let me get rid of it and I never watch it again. This isn't Batwoman, guys. This is a show that definitely has elements you can enjoy. And if you don't, it's absolutely understandable, because we all have different preferences. I'm just saying how I felt about this episode, and I'm excited to have, I guess, the final wells of the multiverse.
And the great thing about this show is that you never know with the writing. You don't know if it's just going to be like Evil Wells or just going to be the original Wells recreated. Because the Gray was still there. He was on a freshly Gray, but they had little, he's for him standing there. My thoughts is like, if the reverse Flash is gone, I hope he's not gone because I want him back. I can't stress enough. We need Reverse Flash. He was, he's the yin to the yang. We need that. We need being pushed to his brink. Where by Wells, and I need Wells being like, it was me the whole entire time. I need that, and I killed the dog too.
It was Wells all along, exactly.
It's like,
Is there any final thoughts that you have for this episode?
My final thoughts is that I hope they, if they don't introduce any more speed powers or abilities, that they don't turn them out to be a crutch, or not a crutch, but I mean like a negative thing. There's positive and everything, and it just felt like it was kind of negative for them to do that, and it just felt cheap. Like I said, it's not against Daniel. She didn't write it; she's just directing it. And I hope we get to see more. Like I said, I would love to see more villains, even new villains that have popped in the show. We've seen King Shark. We've seen, we've even had not Black Canary, but the other one, the Earth 2 one, or Earth 3, where she's from.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, I would love to see more characters pop up. Even more heroes.
Me too. I hope that.
Yeah, we've got to see Superman on Flash. I don't think we probably will. I think they might be done with the crossover since Arrow's done. Supergirl's ending. Black Lightning is the only one left, and like I said, I don't see them really bring in any new shows.
We have Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman, Flash, and Superman. Those are going to be the ones left standing because they aren't set to be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hope that we will get more crossover. I want Superman to interact with other heroes. And I'm not going to go too much into the episode because after this review, we are going to be reviewing Superman and Lois. But I want to see the universe feel like a universe. We were getting to a point where it did feel so connected. And I think it'd be a shame for them to drop that.
Exactly.
So I think that's about it. As the banner below me that I've turned on has said, I'm going to please ask you to make sure you're subscribed. Leave a comment afterwards if you want to watch this video again, or anybody who's watching this video after. Let us know what you think about The Flash, what you feel each time watching it. And join us soon for Superman and Lois. We're going live about 15-30 minutes, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, I'll be sure to tune in. Watch that Brian Arnold guy. He's kind of cool.
That's right. RDV won't be joining me. I will have Bat Arnold. If you need your Arnold fix, he will be there to fix it. So, speaking for RDV and for myself, bye.